So, everyone, I went back to the cemetery, graveyard, if you will, where I initially encountered an interesting experience where I had camera issues, video issues, as you saw in the video where I went to that cemetery and had a lump in my back for 7, 8, 9 days afterwards. That caused me quite a bit of pain, and I'm just now recovering from. Now, I've never had back pain in my life, but I had this bump on my back the day after I went to that cemetery, and I didn't even work that day. And I've never had any problem with this in the past. I work at a job where I actually lift up a lot of heavy things, yet I've never gotten a lump in my back like this one. So that was an experience that I did not want to repeat. I did not want to offend spirits in a particular place to the extent that they actually harmed me. And there are some spirits that you're going to offend one way or another. Some are just so contemptuous of what they went through that it's understandable that it's really hard to get past the negative energy you'll pick up from certain spirits. But when I went back to this graveyard today, it was to make amends. It was to say, okay, I just need to focus more on offering things and not come in with the idea that I own the place, basically. So I wasn't drawn to the same spot that I was drawn to last time. I wasn't drawn to the same grave that I was last time. I was instead drawn to the outer area of the cemetery, of the graveyard. I kind of use those terms interchangeably. I know they're different. But there was this tree, and all the other trees were not like this one. This tree, it had a branch that went up, that just stretched out and was just perfect for doing something very terrible, hanging somebody. Now, despite this being, that tree, another thing was interesting. None of the other trees that I saw in this place had a cross under them, like directly in front of them. But this tree, all by itself, had this metal cross that didn't have a name, didn't have a plaque, and it was right next to the tree, into the ground. Now, when I look upon this tree, it does not look old enough to have been during slavery times, or even directly after. I mean, it was, as you'll see in the video, it's just not big enough. And you could say, I'm not an expert on trees, but you could say that it's not even big enough to have been in the 60s or 70s. But somehow I felt that this particular tree was one that somebody was hanged on, somebody was lynched on. And I couldn't shake that feeling. So what I decided to do was to do a very simple ritual that I was planning on doing in the graveyard anyway, but I decided to do the ritual at this particular tree with this iron or steel rusted cross underneath it. Now, it's on the periphery of the graveyard, like I said, and maybe the cross was just aesthetic. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe my senses are wrong, but something tells me that something very bad happened upon that tree. And I don't know. I think that somebody was hanged there, but I don't quite know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. Sometimes spirits can actually inhabit a tree or a cross even though they have no relation to it. That's possible. But that feeling just wouldn't shake from my mind, wouldn't shake from my being. It felt like that's what happened at that tree. So I decided to do the little ritual, the little offering to the spirit of that place, indicative of the grander graveyard, and an acknowledgement of the grander graveyard, and not just coming in like I own the place like I did last time. And the small ritual, and it's not very complicated, and I use a lot of the same elements that I've used in other rituals, but I feel like it was effective. Now, what's very important in rituals is that when you do a ritual like this and you walk away, do not turn back. That's what everyone says. And I don't know the specifics. I think that it has to do with don't doubt your magic, and don't doubt that your magic is already working and your offerings are already being consumed by a spirit. If you look back, then you're intruding upon their privacy in a way. That's what I think of it as. Now, also, whether this whether this particular tree was a tree that somebody got hanged on, and if it's not, then I feel rather foolish, but I do feel like that is a spiritual point in the graveyard. And usually the spiritual points in graveyards are at central or very specific points in relation to a plaza, or somewhere where if you drew a shape upon a map you would get a hit. But this was just off in the periphery. It was really weird, and it was a iron cross. I know I keep on saying that just didn't have a name on it. I've never seen a cross like that right next to a tree. And I feel like even if there wasn't a particular spirit associated with that tree or having been hung on that tree, it was an energy focus that was separate from the rest of the graveyard. So in this ritual, I use clove. I use cigarettes. I use sage. I use my quartz wand. I offer wine, and I use Vodou terminology and spirits. Baronso Papa Legba, and I just refer to them vaguely and just acknowledge them and give them their drink offerings on either side of the main drink offering to the spirits. And I also ask them to open to the gateway to the realm of the Loa, to the spiritual world, if you will, of Guinea, beneath the sea, as it is often described. But I do something that most other people don't. I don't close the gateway. Now this, I have found in my own research, so this is a terrible idea. Don't do it unless you at least kind of know what you're doing, like I do. I leave the gateway open so that there is a connection to this realm from the realm beyond. And I want to make those connections, and I want them to be open. Most people say a lot of bad things can come through there if you leave it open. But I don't try to reach out to negative beings or demons. And now you can say, okay, well, even if you don't, they can still come through. That's possible. But I like to leave gateways open because when I return there, I want there to be a door that isn't locked. So, moving on from that, another thing, I don't know what the religion of this person that I think was hanged on this tree was, or at least the spirit that's associated with that tree having inhabited it. I don't know if they're a Christian. I don't know if they had certain spiritual beliefs related to their ancestry. But what's always safe is to refer to the ancestry of, I want to say everybody, but that's not true in this case. In this case, refer to the ancestry that is the African background in general. Refer to the realm of Guinea in the sense that you're referring to what the ancestors of a person held most dear and sought out. What the ancestors of a person participated in and basically have the rituals and the spirit still in their veins. We have this. Every single person has the generations before them in their veins. The spiritual legacy of all the generations before them in their veins. So knowing that this graveyard is where many slaves were buried, and possibly people who were even murdered, like I talked about in my last video, where like in Denton recently, it's been discovered that the KKK probably killed a lot of people of color after during Reconstruction, directly after the Civil War. But regardless, it's always safe to refer to somebody's ancestors and to refer to them as being with their ancestors. And though the different African tribes are very diverse, the realm of Guinea, as it is in Vodou, is a collaboration of many different tribes, as it were. So using that as a conduit to respect that person's spirit and the spirits of their ancestors is the way to go, in my opinion. Now, when you ask other Vaudoisans and other people who specialize in Vodou, they might say something else, but this is just my opinion, and this is how I used it in this video. So if anybody wants to give their opinion or say you're doing this wrong, or this is flat out the incorrect way to go about this, then go ahead. But this is a video, an offering to the spirits, where I give offerings and I do a small ritual with very basic components in order to respect the spirit of that person through their ancestral identity and assuming that they are with their ancestors. And I'm not acknowledging the more recent acceptances of various peoples of, you could say, the new religions, like the Abrahamic religions. But regardless, thank you very much for watching. I hope this wasn't too long of an intro, and I'll go ahead and get to the ritual. And I would like to say in closing that I do apologize for the camera being slightly tilted. I instructed my friend incorrectly about how to hold the camera, and while there's more lighting than there was last time I was here, the camera angle is ajar, and I'll have to correct it. If it looks like it's not, then it's because I've corrected it, but, being a film student is a fairly new thing for me, though filming is not, so I do not have any excuse. At any rate, thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you find this informative, and may we respect all of those who came before us and who died and perhaps were killed. Thank you very much, and you will see. La frick, papa now. La frick, mama now. La frick, papa now. La frick, mama now. La frick, papa now. La frick, mama now. Baba Legba, open the gateway to the realm of the Loa. It is for you, Papa Legba. Baron Samedi, I ask that you give us communication with this spirit, that we may give it offerings and appease its anger, its pain. It is for you, Baron Samedi. Now to the spirit who dwells in and beneath this tree, I offer you drink like you have not had in many years. La frick, papa now. La frick, mama now. La frick, papa now. La frick, mama now. May bon Dieu keep you. As this world mistreated you, let Guinea beneath the sea be a place of rest. And free yourself from the woes of this world that held you back from realizing your true potential. Without the ancestors, no one person could be, even if we are not related to them. Every person is tied in union, for we are all human, we are all people. And though crosses and stones exist now only, there were generations within every single person's blood that rests beneath them. Only a fragment of themselves remains. Most of these souls have gone on to Guinea, to a place beyond the world which rejected them in so many ways. This happens to a lot of us now, but not like this soul. You were killed in a terrible way. There's no making up for that, but you can find peace. You can find oneness and solace of mind, knowing that you are with the ancestors now. All those generations in your veins, in your blood, now you are one with them. La frick, mama now. La frick, papa now. La frick, mama now. La frick, papa now. When se vila, as you have joined them. Hekas este bebeloi. 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 The offering is at an end. It isn't always easy to reach out to a spirit that you don't have a lot in common with, that you lived in different times from. But I felt that this spirit deserves some comfort. Thank you.